In a world where environmental and ecological concerns are at the forefront of global discourse, movements pushing for radical solutions have emerged. Among them, none is as extreme or as troubling as the Extinctionist Movement, a growing ideology that holds one stark, controversial belief. The only way to save the planet is through the complete eradication of the human species. For the Extinctionists, humanity is the ultimate plague. Its consumption, pollution, and degradation of the natural world have led the Earth to the brink of collapse. Unlike mainstream environmentalists who advocate for sustainability and reform, extinctionists believe the damage is irreversible. They argue that the ecological balance can only be restored if humans disappear from the Earth entirely. But beyond their grim worldview, there are claims that the movement has evolved into something more dangerous. Allegedly, this ideology has drawn support from powerful elites, and through covert manipulation is actively working to accelerate societal collapse. Decadence, moral decay, and economic destabilization are, some say, tools in their arsenal. This narrative is disturbing, as it suggests a coordinated effort to dismantle society from within, using existing social crises like homelessness, drug addiction, and identity politics as levers to destabilize civilization. Is this merely an ideological fringe, or is there more beneath the surface? To fully grasp the implications of this movement, we must dive deep into its philosophical roots, its alleged connections to power, and its unsettling strategies that threaten the very survival of the human race. The ideology of extinctionism. Among the various social, political, and environmental movements that have gained traction in the modern era, none is more alarming or controversial than the extinctionist ideology. Extinctionists, in essence, are extreme ecologists who have reached a grim conclusion. The greatest threat to Earth is humanity itself. While environmentalists and conservationists seek to mitigate human impact on the planet through sustainable practices, extinctionists believe that true ecological balance can only be achieved through the complete eradication of the human species. Their rationale? Humanity's insatiable consumption, pollution, and destruction of ecosystems have caused irreversible damage, and no amount of reform can save the Earth from collapse as long as people continue to exist. This belief system has evolved from a simple environmental fringe movement into something far more dangerous, with rumors swirling about elite backers, secret networks, and subversive strategies to push society toward decadence, decay, and ultimate collapse. What sets the extinctionists apart from other radical environmental movements is not just their grim outlook, but their alleged active efforts to accelerate the downfall of humanity. They do not merely advocate for societal collapse as a concept, they are purportedly working toward it. The movement, which started as a small faction within radical environmental circles, has morphed into something far more insidious, with claims of connections to powerful figures and institutions manipulating the socio-political fabric of society. To understand the full scope of the extinctionist worldview, it's important to dissect both their philosophical origins and the disturbing ways in which their influence has reportedly permeated global systems. Philosophical origins. At the core of the extinctionist ideology is a deep misanthropy, a hatred of humanity driven by the belief that humans are not only separate from nature, but inherently destructive to it. This notion draws heavily from the works of radical ecologists and philosophers such as Pentti Linkola, a Finnish deep ecologist who famously stated that mass human deaths would be preferable to the ongoing destruction of ecosystems. While Linkola's ideas remained on the fringes, the extinctionists took them a step further, advocating for the deliberate extinction of humans to save the planet. Extinctionism, as a modern movement, finds its philosophical underpinnings in a blend of Malthusian concerns over overpopulation, post-humanist rejection of anthropocentrism, and even nihilistic currents from movements like eco-fascism. Proponents of this ideology argue that all conservation efforts are futile if humans continue to exist, as human nature itself, greedy, self-serving and consumption-driven, prevents the species from coexisting sustainably with the Earth. They view humanity as a virus, a cancer that needs to be eradicated for the Earth's ecosystems to recover. But what started as an intellectual exercise in radical ecological thought has allegedly spiraled into a more dangerous agenda. Instead of merely theorizing about the extinction of humanity, some extinctionists are believed to be actively working toward it. And what makes this even more alarming is the claim that they are not operating in isolation. Connections to power. Whispers and rumors have long surrounded the possibility that the Extinctionist movement has infiltrated powerful institutions, finding supporters and benefactors among global elites. While many dismiss these claims as outlandish, others point to disturbing trends that align with the movement's ultimate goal: the degradation and collapse of human civilization. One of the most disturbing claims is that influential figures in politics, business, and the entertainment industry are complicit or even active participants in pushing an agenda that ultimately serves the goals of the extinctionists. These elites, according to some sources, see humanity's extinction as a desirable or necessary outcome and are willing to facilitate societal decay to bring about this end. Allegedly, they exploit and manipulate existing social, economic, and political fault lines to accelerate the collapse. A key aspect of this alleged manipulation involves the deliberate fostering of decadence, moral decline, and chaos in society. By promoting social fragmentation, drug addiction, homelessness, and economic instability, extinctionist sympathizers among the elite are believed to be paving the way for a societal breakdown. This theory posits that by destabilizing the very structures that allow human society to function, family units, social cohesion, economic prosperity, humanity will spiral into a self-destructive decline. The cities of San Francisco and Vancouver, for instance, have been cited as modern-day examples of these efforts. Both cities are dealing with skyrocketing homelessness, open drug use, and rampant crime, leading to what some call zombie lands, areas where the social fabric has completely broken down. The rise of powerful synthetic drugs like Tranq, a street name for xylazine, a horse tranquilizer, in these cities has led to a public health crisis, creating streets filled with individuals who are so incapacitated by addiction that they resemble the walking dead. Extinctionists, some argue, are complicit in this wave of chaos, either directly or indirectly, by supporting policies that exacerbate these conditions. The role of identity politics. An especially controversial aspect of the extinctionist agenda, as claimed by critics, involves the manipulation of identity politics to further societal destabilization. In this view, the promotion of LGBTQ+ rights, particularly the so-called gay agenda, has been co-opted not for genuine social justice, but as a tool to fragment traditional social structures, most notably the family. Extinctionists, it is alleged, see the traditional family unit as an obstacle to their goals, as strong families promote social stability and the continuation of the species. By promoting non-traditional family structures and emphasizing alternative sexual identities, they aim to weaken the social glue that binds communities together. The rise in adoption by LGBTQ+ couples is viewed suspiciously by these critics, who suggest that it opens the door to darker possibilities: the facilitation of human trafficking and child exploitation. Underworld connections and government corruption, according to this narrative, allow for the illegal sale and exploitation of children under the guise of adoption, with elite circles allegedly profiting from the widespread legal ambiguity surrounding international adoption and foster care systems. LGBTQ+ advocacy, then, is not seen as a genuine civil rights issue, but as a calculated move to dismantle the traditional family and push humanity further down the path to extinction. This perspective is fraught with controversy and backlash, as many LGBTQ+ activists rightly argue that their fight for equal rights is unrelated to these broader, sinister agendas. Nevertheless, the extinctionist movement has succeeded in fueling division by turning legitimate social causes into points of contention, deepening societal fragmentation. The homeless crisis and social decay. Homelessness has become a visible symbol of societal breakdown in many cities across North America. While homelessness has always been an issue in urban areas, the extent and nature of the crisis in places like San Francisco and Vancouver has reached unprecedented levels. Open drug use, mental health crises, and rising crime rates have turned parts of these cities into dystopian landscapes where law and order seem to no longer exist. What was once seen as a humanitarian crisis is now seen by some as a deliberate effort to destabilize urban areas, a calculated step in the extinctionist playbook. In cities like San Francisco, where tent encampments line the streets and overdoses are an everyday occurrence, there is a sense of an ungovernable population people who are not just marginalized by society, but have effectively fallen out of it. Many of these individuals are the victims of addiction, often to powerful synthetic drugs like fentanyl or tranq. These substances, cheap and incredibly addictive, are widely available in these cities, and their use leads to horrifying physical effects. Tranq, for instance, has been known to cause severe skin necrosis, turning users into what some call the living dead. According to critics of the extinctionist agenda, this drug epidemic is no accident. By facilitating or turning a blind eye to the mass distribution of such substances, elites aligned with extinctionist goals are accused of intentionally degrading the most vulnerable members of society. The destruction of these individuals' lives, they argue, is part of a broader strategy to degrade humanity as a whole, normalizing the collapse of civilization in the process. While these theories may seem extreme, the sheer scale of the social breakdown in cities like San Francisco and Vancouver lends some credence to the belief that there is more at play than mere neglect or mismanagement. Homelessness and drug addiction have reached such catastrophic levels that the situation has moved beyond the capacity of local governments to handle, raising the question of whether such crises are the result of systemic failure or deliberate sabotage. The final goal. So what is the end game for the extinctionists? If these allegations are to be believed, the ultimate goal is nothing less than the complete eradication of human civilization. By pushing society toward decadence, chaos, and destruction, the extinctionists hope to speed up the downfall of humanity, paving the way for a new ecological balance without humans. They see themselves as the architects of a post-human Earth, where ecosystems can recover and flourish in the absence of human interference. But this raises a paradox. If extinctionists themselves are human, how do they reconcile their own existence with their ultimate goal? Some proponents of the ideology argue that once the collapse is complete, they too will accept their own extinction as part of the natural order. Others, more chillingly, are believed to harbor visions of a remnant population, perhaps genetically modified or radically altered, that would be able to coexist with the Earth in a way that the rest of humanity cannot. This vision, however, remains speculative and deeply controversial. What is clear is that the extinctionist ideology, if it indeed has the influence and connections that some claim, represents a deeply troubling worldview that seeks to dismantle society as we know it, whether through direct action or through the manipulation of existing social crises. The extinctionists appear to be pursuing their grim vision of a world without humanity, the future of humanity. The Extinctionist Movement, with its radical ecological philosophy and alleged ties to powerful elites, poses a unique challenge to modern society. Its influence, real or perceived, has raised difficult questions about the future of humanity and our relationship with the planet. As environmental crises continue to worsen and as social decay spreads in many urban centers, the question of whether such breakdowns are natural or engineered becomes ever more urgent. In the end, the greatest threat posed by the extinctionists may not be their apocalyptic vision itself, but the way in which their ideas are gaining traction in a world already teetering on the edge of collapse. Whether they succeed in their goal of humanity's extinction remains to be seen, but their influence is a reminder that the battle for the future of our species is far from over. Thank you for spending time with us through Spookscope today. Feel free to share your wisdom and knowledge in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family. Until next time, my dear spooker, stay curious.